Hey, Randy Sullivan here, Florida Baseball Army. I want to talk to you a little bit today about using intent as the primary guiding force for your training. Now, I don't mean intention or the goal of the activity. I mean intent, meaning we're trying to just amp up and throw the ball as hard as we can and let the body try to organize itself. We've been down that road plenty of times. We were locked in there doing a bunch of running throws and a bunch of max long toss to see if it would transfer. And for about 15 years, we've been looking for that connection between like how hard can you do a running throw and then how hard can you throw off the mound. And what we're finding is if there's not a link. The running throw is a really good tool, but it doesn't really transfer directly to the mound because it's a different skill, okay? What I worry about is if we use intent, look, I'm all about like getting hyped up and getting amped up and getting excited if the movement is stable. But if we put the cart before the horse here and the first thing we do is just try to get on the mound and throw the ball as hard as we can, or do a running throw as hard as we can, or do a max long toss as hard as we can without having quality movement, then I think we run into a little bit of problem in our survival instincts kicking in. You see, every species since the beginning of time was built to survive and reproduce, to eat and make more of us. And the species that does that and conserves the most energy wins the race. So we're naturally kind of lazy and we want to conserve energy. When we move inefficiently, we burn energy, we burn calories, and we expose our body to stresses. And so it threatens our survival. And I think that when we use intent as the guiding force, you know, your body wants to save energy and avoid stress, you know, shear forces and things like that. In a one-off emergency, the cheetah will go get the fast gazelle instead of the slow one, even though it costs more calories. In a one-off emergency, you know, we have sensors in our muscles that are designed to keep us from shredding the muscles. Like if we lift something too heavy or too fast, if you've been in the weight room, you had something that was too heavy or lifted too fast, you couldn't even hold it, you just dropped it because the sensors that were telling you were about to shred your muscles suppressed your muscles and made them turn off. And so you couldn't even hold the bar anymore. But in a one-off emergency, those sensors get dampened to the point where sometimes a mom can go pick a car off a baby. And so when we use intent as the guiding force and we don't have quality movement that leads up to it before we add that intent, it's like taking a muscle car engine and putting it in a jalopy. You know, it just doesn't work. And I think what we do is we trick our bodies into thinking that we have to do it only once, you know? And what we see is guys that use intent as a guiding force, the movement's really efficient. You guys all see what it looks like. And these guys will make gains and then they'll lose. Or they'll make gains and they'll get hurt. And that's because at some point the body goes, wait, you know, you told me I only had to do this once because it was an emergency. And now you're asking me to do it 100 times every 5th day, and I'm not gonna let you do that. And so what happens, it starts to protect itself and it starts to pull you back, and you'll see velocity dip, you'll see command dip, you'll see injury surface. And so we can no longer count on just intent as the guiding force. We have to achieve quality movement, and then we can add the muscle car engine to the quality movement. We can't put the cart before the horse here. We got to get the body moving efficiently, safely, smoothly, without stress, and with the least amount of calories burned as possible. And then we can add intent and amp up and do all the fun stuff that we like to do. So just be aware of intent-based training. It can be a little bit of a ruse. It can lead down the wrong path. Quality movement over intent, and then we can add that later.